Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rogue Agent Answers. My name is the Rogue Agent. Some people call me David Lewis, and every week I answer one of the many life insurance related questions that I've received from clients, from email subscribers on the daily email list, questions floated to me from across the interwebs, in the comments sections, which I know you're not supposed to read, or just interactions that I've had with people in real life over the past 20 years, which is a long time. And some of these questions I just scribble down on scrap pieces of paper. Some of these are stuff I've written down on my phone. Some of it is on Post-it notes scattered all over the office. And every week I answer one of those questions. So if you'd like to ask your question, drop them in the comments section or join my email list for more life insurance tips and advice at therogueagent.com. Also, keep in mind that nothing in this podcast is or should be construed as financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. In fact, nothing that I say in this podcast should be construed even as insurance advice, as I don't give individual advice blanket just across the internet unqualified to random strangers. So if you need any of that stuff, contact a licensed professional that you know, like, and trust, preferably someone licensed in your jurisdiction. And now for this week's question. Let's see. Can I mix and match living benefit riders, like one for terminal illness and one for long-term care or chronic illness? Kind of. So for terminal illness and chronic illness usually are two different riders. And they typically go together on a policy. A long-term care rider is going to replace a chronic illness rider. You wouldn't have a chronic illness rider and a long-term care rider. And the reason is that it's kind of weird, because if you ask the compliance department at any insurance company or even regulators, they're going to say that they're two different riders. They do two different things. They're different. They're not comparable or whatever. But the issue is, the reason you can't have them on there is because they fundamentally they essentially do the same thing. They're not the same thing, but they essentially accomplish the same thing. But they do it two different ways. So a long-term care rider is like long-term care insurance. And it functions just like it is a rider on the policy. It works just like LTC insurance, with the exception that the premiums are fixed. On an LTC policy, generally speaking, premiums are not fixed. You might get like a 3-year, 5-year guaranteed level premium or something. Most of the time, premiums are not going to be guaranteed. And the insurance companies, they can't afford it. They tried to do that years ago, and it created a massive financial problem for them. And you notice that there's hardly any long-term care insurance sellers out there anymore. So what they did was solve the problem was they attached it to a life insurance policy, and then they tied the benefit payments to the death benefit. And you can actually underwrite something like that. You could figure out the death benefit is fixed, and then, you can have on a whole life policy, for example, you can have paid up additions rider grow the death benefit, but you can have a benefit pool and use paid up additions to grow the benefit pool, and that they can price, because the risk is sort of known, that they're, instead of saying like, here's an unlimited benefit, or here's a benefit that we think we can pay for, like benefit goes up, you have a kind of a capped benefit. It's a dollar amount, and they therefore can apply a fixed premium, because they know in advance, like, this is how much it's going to cost to supply the benefit pool, not to supply the benefit, but to supply the benefit pool. And that might be like $1 million benefit pool, as opposed to, here, give us, $500 a month and we'll pay whatever your long-term care expenses are in the future. Like, that's a very open-ended sort of bet that, and nursing home care, that might be very expensive like 20 years from now. But with a benefit pool, they can control that. Like, here's how much the benefit pool is going to cost. And we know how to do that, right? They know how to price that, and interest growth, and just premium plus interest rate equals the future benefit amount. So they can do that because they're controlling the amount of the benefit. And they attach it to a life insurance policy, you pay the premium, everything's good, and everything works out exactly as it's supposed to, and the benefits can be guaranteed. Chronic illness, instead of it being long-term care insurance, what it is an advance on the future death benefit. so that you reduce your death benefit, but you get to spend it before you die if you need it to pay for long-term care expenses. Or if you're permanently disabled, like you have a heart attack, stroke, or something, you end up permanently disabled. You can't take care of yourself. And it functions very similarly to long-term care insurance, but it's not long-term care insurance. It's actually an advance against the death benefit. And so there's usually no charge for this until you exercise the rider. It might charge you like $200 or $300 or something like that. But there's typically no ongoing charge. Like with long-term care rider, you have to pay an extra premium for that on top of your life insurance premium. But for the chronic illness rider, you don't have to pay for that. And terminal illness is the same thing. You know, you might have to pay a one-time fee to exercise it, but that's it. And so you can have like both of those, but with a chronic illness or LTC rider, you don't have both. You have one or the other because they essentially provide the same benefit or similar enough that you can't double up on the coverages. So if you have one, you're not going to get the other one. And every company that sells it, that's how they start. You can choose one or the other. Anyway, I hope that helps and answers the question. And I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, that's it for this week's question. If you'd like to add your question to the list, just drop them in the comment section or send me an email. And if you want more life insurance tips and advice, just head on over to
therogueagent.com
and sign up for my daily email list.